everybody. Welcome to Married with Wrestling. I'm Susan.
And I'm Chris.
We are here to talk wrestling. We're kind of switching things up.
Not necessarily a show recap, but maybe like it could be something that happened on shows. It could be something that happened outside of the show.
Just things that happened in the wrestling world for that week that caught our attention.
Yeah, there you go. That'll work.
Yes.
But this week, this is the first week, and we literally hammered out this concept this morning. Some of the stuff we're going to go over is focused on the show still, but as we get more comfortable in this new format, we'll see what we find. So we'll start with the Elimination Chamber. So Elimination Chamber on each side has 3 people already in it. On the men's, we have John Cena, CM Punk, and Drew McIntyre qualified last night on SmackDown. On the women's side, we have Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, and Alexa Bliss have all qualified for the Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
So we'll start with the men's. Here's how I feel like the Chamber's going to go. Rollins has already announced that he has a qualifying match. I imagine Rollins is going to be in the Chamber.
Do we know who he's fighting?
No. He just said I have a qualifying match in a couple weeks.
I'm sure
I'm gonna guess it's gonna be against like Chad Gable or The Miz or something like that. No, The Miz is on SmackDown now. I would guess maybe somebody like Chad Gable or something like that. Somebody that like you're gonna see the graphic and be like, yeah, he's gonna win, but it'll be a good match regardless. Mm-hmm. Chad Gable's great for that. Yeah. Logan Paul's facing Rey Mysterio on Netflix. We know Logan Paul's getting in. Like, why did Logan Paul have to pick professional wrestling? Why didn't he pick boxing?
Just stick to recording dead bodies, Logan Paul. That seemed to get you
or scamming senior citizens. He could do that too. But that leaves the 6th. So if Rollins and Logan Paul are getting in from Raw, that leaves another person to get in from SmackDown.
Is LA Knight already on there?
LA Knight lost last night in the triple threat with Jimmy Uso.
Okay.
So on the SmackDown side, it doesn't seem like Carmelo Hayes is going to get pushed to that point yet. Because he wrestled Tozawa last night. I'm not sure what Carmelo Hayes is doing. It's just kind of, his storyline is kind of Nick Aldis just messing with him. Like, here, you're going to wrestle a mystery opponent. It's Braun Strowman. Here's a mystery opponent. It's Damian Priest. Damian Priest would be the other one from SmackDown. Because it's him.
I couldn't remember who was on SmackDown.
It's him, Braun Strowman, and Jacob Fatu. Next week. That's a qualifying match.
Jacob Fatu would win? Fatu?
No, I don't think Jacob Fatu is going to get it. I think him and Braun Strowman will take each other out. I think WWE wants to do Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu at Mania.
I'm just not that... I've never been a big Braun Strowman fan, though.
I would rather have Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu at WrestleMania. Yeah. I would rather have that.
Yeah.
Speaking of the Samoans, Solo's back. He attacked Cody Rhodes last night.
Yeah.
And as soon as Solo attacked Cody Rhodes... Like, you saw him coming. As soon as he got in the ring, you were like, Solo's back. It was so funny. Like, you clocked it right away.
I just saw him. I just pulled my nose ring out. But I just saw him come in the ring, and I was like, that's Solo.
Yeah. Now, this is Elimination Chamber adjacent, because I have a feeling he might wrestle him there. But I'm a Cody Rhodes guy. Cody Rhodes' reign to me... Shut up. Cody Rhodes' reign... to me, has not been as good as it could be because he has literally fought AJ Styles for a month, resulted in a 5-star match. It was a pretty good feud leading up.
Yeah.
He's fought Kevin Owens, which he had the brutal ladder match. He had the first match with Owens, which everybody was poo-pooing the story. I liked it because I knew it was going to go somewhere. Because I knew Kevin Owens, can't be trusted sometimes. But other than Kevin Owens...
He can't be tamed. He's like Miley Cyrus.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Is Miley Cyrus going to package pile drive her dad?
Maybe. She hates him right now,
yeah.
So maybe.
But other than Kevin Owens and AJ Styles, he's only fought Samoans. Like, there's so many people on SmackDown he could have feuded with. And I know Cody's going to keep his title, and I'm worried, like, once the Samoans are done... Everybody's going to kind of be over Cody being champion. And there's so many feuds you could go with. He could have a longer feud with Carmelo. I want him to feud with Drew McIntyre. That's what I want.
Yeah.
I would love Cody and Drew McIntyre to full out feud. They've teased it 2 or 3 times. I would love those two to feud. I wouldn't mind Cody feuding with CM Punk. I just want Cody to feud with somebody that's not Samoan because I feel like he's coming up on a year on his reign. and 80% of it he's fought Samoans.
I mean, I hate CM Punk, but they would be excellent storytelling going on between those two.
Oh man, when those two get in the ring and pick up microphones, it's like you feel like something special is about to happen.
I wouldn't go that far, but I'm not a big... I mean, I like Cody Rhodes. I don't like CM Punk, so I wouldn't go that far. But I can see why you would say that, because you love Cody Rhodes. So.
Yeah, and I don't mind CM Punk. Enough time has passed, I don't really care.
I don't... My hatred for him has dimmed, because I now have a new hatred in wrestling. I'm back to Logan Paul.
Logan Paul.
Now, if Ronda Rousey ever comes back, nobody can trump my hatred for her.
At that point, CM Punk is safe.
I literally, whenever I went back and rewatched the Total Divas show and Ronda Rousey was in it, I would fast forward through every scene that she was in.
To CM Punk's credit, too, I feel like ever since he got to WWE, he's always been involved in a story of interest.
If he's not a little baby about things, I can handle him. But if he becomes a wine baby again, I'm all about the consequences.
Because his stuff with McIntyre was great. His stuff with Rollins was really good. I've really enjoyed this ride, and these two just
McIntyre and Rollins
button heads.
McIntyre and Rollins did a great job.
And I think, honestly, I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I'll bet you... So they can get... Because I don't think they're interested in doing a full John Cena-CM Punk match on John Cena's retirement tour. But I do see those two starting the Chamber together.
Ooh,
as a way to kind of get that match in without having to dedicate a whole match to it. Speaking of John Cena, I saw where WWE is... I don't know if it's rumored or if it's confirmed, but I saw it in a few places. Where WWE is going to do a December pay-per-view called Ruthless Aggression in Boston for John Cena's last match. And the way that John Cena was emotional with the Royal Rumble, I don't know that he's going to be able to hold it.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because LA Knight last night on SmackDown gave this whole sermon about, it's okay for men to cry, which I thought was really cool and came out of left field, and then laughed my ass off when I realized it was just an angle to insult Drew McIntyre.
Because he was having his tantrums.
Yeah.
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 Is that whenever you were like, what's he talking about? What happened?
Yeah, I was like, did something happen to LA Knight, like in his personal life? No, it was just to take a shot at Drew McIntyre, which is very on brand. So, it's probably going to be Logan Paul, Priest, and Rollins to qualify for the last three in the Chamber. I mean, know you wouldn't pick Logan Paul. So, who would you replace Logan Paul with? Because I don't know that I'd pick Ray.
No.
Although I wouldn't hate it if Ray made one more run at the time.
I would have picked LA Knight to be in it.
Yeah, LA Knight's a good shout.
He's over.
I'd pick AJ Styles.
I always forget about him.
I would take out Logan Paul and put in AJ Styles and leave the lineup the same.
I like LA Knight more than AJ Styles, so I'm going to still say LA Knight.
Would you... Well, LA Knight's on SmackDown, AJ Styles is on Raw. So would you replace Damian Priest with LA Knight?
No.
You leave Damian Priest in?
Everybody can stay except for Logan Paul.
Okay.
He gotta go. He's the only one.
Get out, Logan Paul.
Yeah, everybody else can stay.
Yeah. I mean, I know Logan Paul's going to do something viral, but I just like...
He's going to prime... He's going to prime his chug. He's going to chug his prime.
Mm-hmm. I know he mentioned... I saw where he mentioned something about how he'd like IShow Speed to get his revenge on Braun Breaker.
Oh, please.
And I guess IShow Speed said on a show, he's like, I'm never going back to WWE.
IShow Speed is Logan Paul's
They're
friend?
all streamers. I think they're all a community. But IShow Speed was on a show, and he was like, I'm not going to go back to WWE. He's like, I had messed up ribs. I almost died. Like, I'm not going back.
That's funny.
But man, thank you, IShow Speed, for maybe the greatest Braun Breaker spear I've ever seen. I still, whenever I come across the video, it's become like a good movie, like The Big Lebowski or Batman '89. When I see it go by, I'll stop and just watch. It's must-view TV for me because... Yes. And every time I do it, even if I'm sitting in my office by myself and I come by it, when he hits him, I'm always like, whoa! I get so pumped. I really want Braun Breaker to do something fun for WrestleMania. I think it's going to be Sheamus, but I really want him to do something fun. So yeah, you would leave the lineup the same, just take out Logan Paul, and you'd replace him with LA Knight?
Yeah, and it'd be perfect. Take out the one asshole, and it'd be perfect.
Okay. What about the women? So far we've got Bianca, Liv, and Alexa Bliss. I said it earlier.
Yes.
So who are the other three going to be? I know Lyra Valkyria has a qualifying match with Bayley, and I don't know that Bayley's going to get in.
I don't either. I would prefer Bayley over Lyra, just because Lyra's kind of... she still needs to kind of develop her personality more, I think. She's a little...
She needs to defend her title. She won her title, entered the Royal Rumble to get another title,
Oh my God,
and then she's going in the
title?
elimination. She's the Women's Intercontinental Champion. Exactly. You wouldn't know. Chelsea Green defends her title. No. It's been against Michin every time, but at least she's defended it.
Yeah, I forgot that she had a title.
Yeah.
See, she kind of bored... I don't want to say she's boring.
I kind of
she's
feel...
bored. She bores me, but I probably have ADHD, so it's hard to keep my attention at the same time. But plenty of wrestlers do.
Yeah. Well, I want to make a point, but I'll save it because it's kind of related to our next topic too. So I'm going to put Lyra Valkyria over here, and the Women's Intercontinental title. I'm just going to set it to the side over here because I want to talk about it more later.
Okay.
So, for the other women, I know Naomi's got a qualifying match. Naomi's probably going to get in there.
Who is she fighting against? Do we know? I can't remember.
Yes, but I don't remember.
Okay.
I don't remember who it's against, but it's somebody that she's probably going to beat.
Yeah.
Are we going to do something with Naomi and Bianca Belair in the chamber now? Because the Rumble kind of let me down with that.
I know. I hope so.
But I saw, photos where Jade Cargill's on vacation again.
She takes a lot of vacations for somebody
She
that needs to
does.
improve her wrestling.
I don't know that her heart's completely in it, if I'm honest.
Well, I don't know if we can really make that make that call, because we don't know her personally. Mm-hmm. I mean, she's very sweet when you meet in person.
Uh-huh.
I just don't know, because I feel like in order for her to improve, she has the
look?
Yes, you look at her when she comes out. She has that commanding
She has an aura.
It's just her in-ring ability. I don't feel like you should look as green as you do when you've been in... you shouldn't be on the main roster if you look as green as you do, is what I'm trying to get at, basically. She's been doing
this longer than Tiffany Stratton. And Tiffany Stratton is very, has she been doing it longer than Tiffany Stratton? It's actually probably been about the same. But look how much time and everything that Tiffany Stratton put in. Tiffany Stratton, that we know of, wasn't posting pictures on vacations. She took it to it like a duck to water.
Yeah.
I
mean, some people take to it more than others, and Jade does have, the personality for it, the overall appearance for it, but, you've got to improve your wrestling skills.
Yeah.
You can't compete with the others, and you don't want to bring the other woman down because you're not taking it seriously.
Yeah, that's a valid point. As far as the women's chamber as well, who are the other three that you would put in?
I don't know.
So Naomi's probably going in. I don't have a problem with Naomi being in there. Just tell a story with Bianca, please. No. I know this is where we're going. Just please start.
I wouldn't be opposed if Nikki Bella came back and got into it.
I wondered if you would bring her up, because you said that she was going on some kind of run.
I wouldn't be upset. I know a lot of people don't like Nikki Bella.
Mm-hmm.
I like Nikki Bella. She was on the Traitors this season. You know I love that show.
Yeah.
I just have always loved the Bella twins. I know that Brie Bella isn't the best in ring. Mm-hmm. I get that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I wouldn't be upset if Nikki Bella got into it.
You know who I want to be in it? And I know I'm going to sound like a hypocrite because of what I just said about somebody a couple minutes ago. I want her in there because I know that if she is, it's going to be a riot and she's going to take a bunch of crazy stuff. I wouldn't be opposed to Chelsea Green being in the Elimination Chamber.
I wouldn't either.
I wouldn't be opposed to that at all.
Me either.
I think Chelsea Green, within the next year, should at least sniff the world title.
She's got people, she's gotten a following, her crazy antics have definitely got her a following.
Yeah.
I've always loved Chelsea Green, though.
Yeah. One person that won't be in the chamber is Charlotte Flair.
Good riddance.
And WWE, I know what you're doing. You're turning her heel because of the reaction you got, but it still doesn't change the fact that it was a very lazy decision in the first place. And I still stick by that.
You could have gotten her where you wanted her to go without getting her in that.
You could have given somebody else a shine in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah. It didn't have to be the predictable Charlotte.
I still think the most interesting story would have been to have Roxanne win it and have her be, see, I'm better than NXT. My shit don't stink.
It would have literally fit her storyline
perfectly. It absolutely would have. And no one from NXT's ever won it before. No. So the NXT people kind of feel like just filler, but if an NXT person actually wins it, it don't feel that way anymore.
No.
I don't know. But I don't know who the other three should be either.
What about Nia Jax?
Nia Jax has Tiffany next week, which leads me to believe she ain't going to be in it.
That wasn't a qualifying match. That was just to kind of get the title back.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying. They're having Nia do her thing next week, which I think, if you watched the video that we did last week, I think it's a mistake. I think Nia should have won the Rumble and tortured Tiffany for 2 months.
Yeah.
That's what I thought should have happened.
Yeah, there's just no reason for Charlotte.
Which I know.
Other than for her to brag. Like, that's the only reason was for bragging.
And she's done it. She's done it on all 3 shows.
I just wish... I don't like how loud she talks into the microphone. It's kind of the same with Ethan Page.
I feel like Charlotte Flair talks to me like I did something wrong.
Yeah.
Like, she talks real slow, and she talks real loud, and I feel like I've done something to make mommy mad. Like, that's what I feel like. I feel like when Cody talks to me, it's a conversation. I feel like when CM Punk talks to me, it's a conversation. I feel like when Becky Lynch talks to me, she's a little heightened, but it's a conversation.
I feel like that's just her in general.
I feel like Charlotte Flair is lecturing me.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like.
Yeah.
So,
and don't get me wrong, I think Charlotte Flair is an excellent wrestler.
I'm one of those people, I don't think she got where she is just because of her last name. I think she put in the work. I think she has the talent. I think she has 14 titles because of what her last name is.
Yes.
Because I think that's what they just want her to match her dad. That has everything to do with the last name. Because no one has even close to that many. No. Not even close.
No.
It feels like Becky Lynch has the title all the time, and she has 5.
Yeah.
And one of them was just, oh shit, Rhea got hurt. Can you help? Yeah. That was
Charlotte
one of them.
only holds on to hers for like a week.
Yeah, she's usually prime fodder for a cash in or something like that. It's like you would think you'd learn WWE. Every time you give her the title, you have to take it off of her quickly. It's almost like we don't want that. Something to think about. But yeah, let's kind of break down the women's rosters a little bit. Let's kind of take a look. Okay, so the NXT women's division always talks about how they're the best division in wrestling. Like, best women's division in wrestling. And it's kind of got me thinking. If we look at the main roster women on Raw and SmackDown and AEW's women, do they have the best division?
I think they do, but I don't know if it's that they have the best division or they get showcased the best.
See, I think that might be
NXT
where
literally has half the show women, half the show females. There's sometimes where the females the majority of the show.
NXT does a great job of balancing the men and the women.
Yes.
I think that's why the mid-card title works best on NXT. Honestly, if we're being honest, I think, and this is a sentence I don't say very often, especially lately, I think AEW handles their women's mid-card title better than main roster WWE handles theirs. In particular, the women's Intercontinental title, which has not even been defended yet. At least AEW has a feud for Mariah May and a feud for Mercedes Moné typically all the time.
Yeah.
So I do think AEW has done better with the mid-card title. And honestly, I'm not a big fan of big stars having mid-card titles. But I think Mercedes with the TBS title has worked. I think it's worked. I thought for a while Mariah May was kind of getting overshadowed. But I think Mariah May is doing better at having herself stand out. I really like Mariah May.
Yeah.
Her feud with Toni Storm is fun. I worry that it's going to end with Mariah May just giving the title back to Toni Storm.
Yeah.
Which would put Toni Storm and AEW up to 4 titles. Don't get me wrong. Toni Storm's great. She's a great champion. She's a great person to have as champion. But it's been a lot of Toni Storm lately. Yeah. And I'd like to see some of the other women get a piece of that. I'd like to see Willow get a piece of the world title. Kris Statlander needs to get a world title run like ASAP.
Yeah.
Like, I truly believe, I think you could put Kris Statlander on main roster WWE, keep her in AEW, or put her on NXT, and in all 3 instances, she's one of the best women on your roster.
She always has good matches.
She always delivers.
Yeah.
Always delivers. There's a reason WWE went after her before AEW started.
Yeah.
She's really, really good. Don't sleep on Kris Statlander. If you're sleeping on AEW, that's fine. We're going to break that down in a little bit about maybe why that's happening. But don't sleep on Kris Statlander. She's the women's MVP right now. Yeah. It's her and Willow. I think Willow deserves more too.
Yeah.
So let's do what we were originally going to do. So NXT women's heavy hitters. We've got Roxanne. We've got Julia. We've got Stephanie
Cora
Vauquer.
Jade.
Would you consider Cora Jade a heavy hitter?
I would say so.
Okay.
She's in that with the main hitters.
She's with that in that sphere.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. I thought when she first came in, Zarya was going to be a heavy hitter, but she's kind of like she's out of any title picture, and she just kind of, which leads me to believe that Zarya has a lot to fine tune, because that's typically what WWE does. Like they'll pull you so they can fine tune you, like they've done with Jade.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if Zarya will get there eventually. I still, and everybody that knows me knows this, I would still classify Jada Parker as a heavy hitter.
Yeah.
She ain't there yet, but she'll be there.
Yeah.
Jada Parker will run NXT in a year. Mark it on your calendar. In a year, it'll be Jada Parker's show.
Yeah.
And it should be. And I don't know, I hate to say this because they are growing on me a little bit. I think she becomes a bigger star if you take her out of OTM.
I agree. I cannot get into Out the Mud. Like, can I just play Grand Theft Auto instead? Like, come on.
I think initially she was a good fit. She brought personality where there wasn't much. But I think she's outgrown OTM.
Yeah. I think she's the only reason why OTM gets more of a pop now.
Yeah. I wonder what they're going to do with Thea Hale. Because Andre Chase is telling the story that Chase U's dead. Duke Hudson's gone. Duke Hudson's gone from the company.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We haven't seen Riley Osborne and we haven't seen Thea Hale in weeks. So I'm just waiting to hear that they got released, which would be a shame because they're both really good.
I don't think they would release Thea Hale.
Mm-hmm.
Because they seem to really like Thea.
And Thea's still so young.
She is, yes.
I don't know if she's wrestling on Level Up. We don't watch Level Up. There's enough to watch. We don't.
Now there's Evolve.
Yeah, Evolve's coming back. Which you saw Wendy Chu in one of the vignettes
I did,
for that.
Yeah.
Because I wonder what happened to Wendy Chu.
Yeah, she's on Evolve.
Yeah. I'm surprised that we haven't seen Thea Hale or Riley Osborne pop up in TNA since they have that relationship with NXT right now.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we haven't seen that. So NXT's women's division is pretty solid. Not to mention Fallon Henley's North American champion. And I've been a fan of Fallon's for a little while now.
Yeah.
Fallon I started really liking Fallon when she had her feud with Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah.
And Tiffany Stratton was like the farmhand, and that was the last thing she did in NXT.
Yes.
So NXT's solid division. Let's take main roster as a whole, because they pop back and forth anyway. I mean, main roster, Charlotte's back. You know she's a heavy hitter. Bianca's a heavy hitter. Naomi's a pretty big hitter. Nia Jax is a big hitter now. Alexa Bliss is back. I mean, main roster women's division's getting beefed up, and Becky Lynch isn't even back yet.
And I think that Alexa Bliss is going to get back with the White Six. I really
You think
do.
so?
I think so, because during her match, I saw the screen flicker out. You thought it was glitching, but I mean it was glitching with like the gray, like the, you know what I'm talking about.
Like it looked like something was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we haven't seen the Wyatt Six since they got to SmackDown.
And I know that Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss, they get along. They were tag team for a while.
Oh yeah, Bliss Cross Applesauce. Yeah, we'll see if that plays. I feel like Nikki Cross is going to be the main instigator in trying to recruit her.
Yeah.
But I think it's interesting that that's running at the same time Alexa Bliss is going to the Chamber.
Maybe Nikki Cross is going to interfere in the Chamber or something. Maybe Nikki Cross is going to pop up and it's going to make Alexa Bliss do something.
I don't know.
Kind of like how the Fiend would pop up and like.
I've seen a lot of online discourse about this, and there's actually a lot of people that don't want her to do Wyatt Six stuff. They want her to go back to her goddess persona, what she was doing when we first started watching, where she was just mean bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, she played that role well.
She did, yes.
I mean, it's probably been forgotten because she hasn't picked up a microphone yet or anything.
She's
but
so good on the
Alexa Bliss does very well on the microphone.
She's so good on the microphone.
She's one of those that she's decent in the ring, but her microphone skills is what kept her relevant.
Yes. One thing though, Alexa Bliss, I did notice. Alexa Bliss, I really like you, but if you're going to be a wrestler, you gotta let your face get hit.
She's always been that way.
Whenever they were swinging things, she was just covering her face the whole time, and I'm like, stop. Stop it. Your pretty face is going to get punched at some point. It's going to happen. You're a wrestler. So,
She got spooked when she saw Becky Lynch's nose get shattered into 1,000 pieces. She got spooked.
But it's just kind of like, come on, girl. Mm-hmm. You can't be scared to take a fist to the face if you're a wrestler.
Yeah.
So I know you're pretty. Mm-hmm. I know it will hurt. Mm-hmm. I know you're trying to do acting as well now, but please, for the love of God, take a punch to the face.
I mean, Hikaru Shida acts, and she takes punches to the face.
That's true.
Speaking of, let's go over to AEW's women's division. And I will contend AEW's women's division is severely underrated. It's very underrated.
They don't get showcased well at all.
No. Let's see who they got over there. They got Toni Storm. They got Jamie Hayter.
They have Athena in Ring of Honor, who's killing it.
Athena is hanging out in Ring of Honor just itching to get back on TV, and I'm itching for her to get back on TV. Yeah. I've been a fan of Athena since she was in Bermuda and NXT. Yeah. That's how long I've been a fan of Athena.
Yeah.
So I'm thrilled to see Athena shine like this. I just want her to do it on cable. So you've got that. You've got Hikaru Shida, I feel like, is a heavy hitter when she's around. But she's around a little bit, which is fine, because she's one of those that, like, I don't know, when she comes back, they usually put her in something big.
Yeah.
Let's see, who else? We got Willow. We got Statlander. Mercedes. I thought Mercedes had lost a step when she came to AEW, and I'm starting to think she found it again, and I'm kind of thinking Chris Statlander helped her find it.
Maybe.
Because her work has been better since she started feuding with Statlander.
I know that
I feel like she's back.
I know that Harley Cameron isn't like a heavy hitter, but my God, she's very funny interacting with Mercedes.
You know what? Give Harley Cameron her flowers for her character work, because she goes balls to the wall.
Yes.
Like, she knows she's not the best out there in ring.
Yeah.
But she will bring the personality in spades.
Yes.
And I've kind of started to make my own comparison. I kind of believe Harley Cameron is the AEW women's division's R-Truth.
Oh,
like, whenever she comes out, I know something zany's going to happen.
Yeah.
Probably something comical.
Or like the Chelsea Green.
Yeah, and usually her comedy stuff hits.
Yeah.
Usually you hear the crowd laughing. And we were on the Jericho Cruise with her last year. She's freaking hilarious. She is so funny. Yes. So that's a great role for her, and I'm glad that she's getting to showcase her personality. And I do think we're going to get her and Mercedes at Grand Slam, and I think Mercedes might squash her.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that Harley Cameron is doing these things to help herself stand out. Because remember, she started out as the woman that would randomly sing on QTV.
Yeah.
Which is funny that Johnny's TV is still Johnny TV. But even though that thing's been dead for years. So it's cool to see her do that. Like you said, she's not a heavy hitter in the ring, but she's a big character.
Yes.
Let's see, who else? Saraya's there, but I don't know if I call her a heavy hitter anymore. She's just kind of... She won the world title, and then she's just kind of there.
Yeah.
I'm surprised Tony Khan didn't jump all over her and Mercedes. I kind of thought he would be the one that would want to tout, like, look, I've healed this.
I know,
like,
yeah.
I'm surprised he didn't pick up on that and do that. Unless those two just chose not to work together. We don't know that.
True.
Maybe Mercedes was like, no, that's... Because I bet Mercedes does have a little bit of trauma from that.
Yeah.
I would imagine.
Yeah.
Here's the social worker coming out. I'm looking for trauma when she accidentally hurt Saraya.
Worn off on you.
You have. Oh my. So yeah, I think main roster WWE is probably the most talented. NXT is the best showcased by far, and AEW's women's division is very underrated. There's some talent there. We didn't even mention Julia Hart. We didn't mention, and Julia Hart's come a long way. I mentioned Jamie Hayter.
Oh, did you?
She was like the second person I mentioned.
Damn.
Yeah. Thunder Rosa. I feel like Thunder Rosa's really good.
Yeah. Serena Deeb.
Serena Deeb's good.
She's very technical.
I feel like
isn't really my style, but I feel like she's a good technical
See, I have another AEW WWE comparison there. I feel like Serena Deeb is almost AEW's Natalya with a little more personality.
Yeah.
She's very technical. Her whole thing is I've been doing this forever. Which means I could do it better than anybody.
Yeah.
So I do think I equate Serena Deeb and Natty together a lot.
Yeah.
Hell, Deeb's dojo might be a metaphor for the dungeon. Who knows?
Maybe.
Who really knows?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think AEW's women's division is severely underrated. I think in Shawn Michaels' hands, AEW's women's division could steal shows.
Yeah.
Absolutely could steal shows. Because when they get a chance to showcase, they show out.
Yeah.
If it's the right people. Now, sometimes they put people in there that you could tell are very, very green. But AEW doesn't have the Performance Center. NXT
They
is
have New Japan.
Yeah, they do. They do. New Japan is their Performance Center.
Yes.
Which it does work. It worked for Energetic.
They helped Jungle Boy or Jack Perry.
Yeah, it helped Jack Perry. Yeah, Jack Perry came back with personality, which a lot of people say he was lacking. So yeah, I would agree that NXT shows you just how beneficial the Performance Center is. Like the Performance Center, like I talked about Chris Statlander being the MVP of the AEW Women's Division. I truly think the Performance Center is the MVP for NXT.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or WWE as a whole.
Yeah.
Because everybody, even the main roster, goes down to the Performance Center.
Yeah.
So.
Like, I would imagine, like, when Ethan Page came over, because Sean Spears knew what to expect. Cody Rhodes knew what to expect.
Yeah.
I imagine when Ethan Page came over and he saw everything at the Performance Center, he probably shit a couple bricks. He was probably like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, this is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
because it is. It's, like, it's an incredible facility. Like, there's nothing like it in the world. I think I would love if WWE would start letting, like, people do tours of it. I think that would be really cool.
Yeah.
But
Well, they have, like, open things where if, like, there's stuff going on, people can just go in.
do they?
Like, the tryouts and stuff, people can just go in and watch it.
That'd be cool. I think it'd be cool, like, if they let people come in and, like, learn that stuff, like, learn what people go through to get there.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting is, we're far out of the kayfabe era. I don't know that there's many people in the world over the age of, like, 7 that think WWE is real. I don't know.
But people on the internet get mad about kayfabe.
They do. But what's interesting to me is I think the out of kayfabe stuff can be just as interesting to see
agree.
how they get there, to see how they build who they're going to
Yes.
be. I want to know how they pick what kind of gear they want to wear. Like, I think that stuff's interesting. I would love to learn about that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I think that stuff would be really cool to find out about. Like, I would love to know how Undertaker kept up the persona for 30 years. I would love to know how he did
He
that.
probably should have kept
Oh, man.
because he's grumpy about everything.
He kind of is, but I will admit that LFG show that they've talked about, where it's like Booker T, Mickey James, Undertaker, and Bully Ray, like
Let's
training the new.
fucking go?
It's called Legends and Future Greats, which is a terrible name.
Okay, I was like,
but
what are you talking about?
it's a terrible name. But the concept of the show looks pretty cool. I don't know that I'm going to watch it because I don't have time.
I don't really have an interest watching
But-
it because I like The Undertaker as a wrestler. I love The Undertaker as a wrestler, not as a human being. I don't like Bully Ray as a person. He I don't know what it is about him. He just gets under my skin.
Okay.
Even on the cruise, he just
Okay.
got under my skin. Who's
Okay.
the other person?
Booker T and Mickey James.
Mickey. The only person I watch it for is Mickey James because we met her and she was so freaking nice.
Yeah. I think
Booker
what's
T just it's a little too much.
it kind of reminds me of like The Voice for WWE.
Yeah.
Every time they show the ads for it, that's what I think of. I don't know if it's the 4 coaches. I don't know, but I think of The Voice whenever I see it. Like, it's WWE's The Voice.
The only person I'd watch it for is Mickey James, though. I think. But I love women's wrestling.
But it would be interesting. It would be really cool if you did watch the show and somebody that they had on there that was actually training in like 5 or 6 years was at WrestleMania.
Well,
That would be cool.
It's kind of like Tough Enough.
I think after we've looked at it and broken it down, I don't think NXT is the most talented division, but they are showcased the best. I think main roster women still hold a little more talent,
I don't know
but because there's a lot
on
of
the
big
main
hitters.
roster you have, and I mean no disrespect to these people. You have BFAB, you have Maxine, you have I mean Nikki Cross isn't the best wrestler. You have Nikki Cross. You have who else do we have on the main roster that's kind of And who do you really have on NXT? Because if they're on NXT, they're usually
Polished
I mean-
enough to be on TV.
like Ava does an excellent job what she's doing now. She wasn't as a wrestler, so they pulled her out of wrestling. So like, I kind of feel like NXT women are more talented than the main roster women because the main roster women, some of those women, I I don't mean to keep picking on, like, the B-Fabs, but, like, they're not gonna be... I don't see her improving to, like, champion material. You know what I mean? NXT women, they could. So I feel like the NXT women are the most talented because that's where the main roster is getting their talent from. So I think NXT has the most, like, the best talent in the divisions or the things that we watch.
So you think when NXT says they're the best women's division in wrestling, they are 100% accurate?
Based on what we watch, yes.
Okay.
I don't know about TNA. They could have the best women. I don't watch
TNA
them.
just lost Jordan Grace, though. That's a big hit.
I don't know about Ring of Honor. I don't really watch Ring of Honor that much. I don't have time to watch Ring of Honor. So, like, I don't know about the other, like, the other things, but, like, I don't know about, like, what is it, Stardom in Japan? I don't know about those promotions.
Yeah, there's people that love Japanese wrestling. They're probably going to tell us we're full of shit and it's Stardom.
And that's fine. It definitely, if I watch Stardom, I could probably see myself loving Stardom the most, honestly.
Yeah.
But based on what I know, my experience, my expertise, it's literally NXT women for me.
Okay.
Because the main roster, that's where they have to get their talent from NXT. So you're telling me that the main roster is better than NXT when most of the talent came from NXT? No.
I have to go back and make a correction. When I was mentioning the heavy hitters on the main roster, I didn't mention Rhea Ripley, and I totally should have.
Or Liv Morgan.
Yeah, it's more egregious that I left out Rhea Ripley, though.
Liv Morgan's a heavy hitter. Even if you're bored with her, she's still a heavy hitter.
Fun fact that I learned last night to end the women's wrestling discussion. Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley are the only women to be in 5 straight WrestleManias. Do with that what you will.
I mean, Rhea Ripley's out to get you, Charlotte Flair, and she probably deserves it more.
Yeah, I'd kind of like... I don't want Charlotte to face Tiffany at WrestleMania. I want Rhea to just kill her again.
I know. If she faces Tiffany, Tiffany's going to lose her title.
Okay, so the last thing we want to talk about today is... And this is really sad. AEW was the catalyst that brought us out of some traumatic things that happened to us.
Mainly Ethan Page and Danhausen for me, personally.
Yeah,
but
which is cool because we've gotten to tell both of them
that. Yes.
So what's sad is I have trouble getting hyped for AEW anymore. And I'm not alone. If you look at the attendance numbers and the viewership numbers, like, everybody's kind of soured on AEW.
It's like AEW has gotten into this little rut, and people call them out on it of ways to fix it, but they're like, no, if you don't like it, don't watch it. And it's like, that's not how you need to be.
No, that's how Vince used to do things in the mid-2000s. They literally on Raw, he was like, if you don't like it, go watch something else.
And that's not how you do it.
No, and there's too much talent in AEW to do that. There's a lot of guys and women over there that should be on TV wrestling.
Yeah.
So the question is how the hell do you fix it?
One thing, fix your marketing.
Yeah, because WWE, whenever, and I don't like to make the comparisons, but we're going to have to make it a lot with this topic, because WWE is soaring right now. Absolutely just through the roof. I talked to you last night whenever SmackDown was on, and I told you, I said, it's amazing that you watch AEW and their pay-per-views are having trouble filling the seats in these big arenas. And WWE does it weekly, twice a week.
Yes.
Just full to the brim.
Yeah.
For weekly TV, which a lot of it I spend on my phone and watching in my peripherals because it's the weekly TV. It's building to something else.
Yeah.
But there's so many people there for it. And you have to examine what they're doing. First of all, when they run their ads through the week, they're telling you what you're going to see. They're like...
They let you know in advance where they're going to be.
Yeah. AEW has improved with that somewhat.
They don't show all the shows, though.
No, they show like the next couple weeks out, which WWE schedules much further out. Like WWE knows where they're going to be in like June and July right now, I think.
Yeah.
And AEW, I think, doesn't go past Revolution, which is on March 9th. So they're about a month out right now. Unless it's a big show, then they know where they're going. Like Grand Slam Australia, they pimped out for a while because it was Australia. But yeah, I think that's part of it. I think when they do the commercials for weekly TV, they usually just show highlights of just randomness, but they don't tell any stories. Like WWE will tease you. They'll be like, after the attack on Roman Reigns, what will Seth Rollins do next? Like, they treat it like you would treat any other episode of a show. Like, if you saw a preview for NCIS or Law and Order or, you know, just because I'm thinking of it because we're watching it right now, the Drew Carey Show. Like, they will let you know, hey, if you tune in on this day at this time, this is a story that you're going to see play out. Yeah. And AEW doesn't do that. They don't advertise what's going on. And I honestly think it's because Tony Khan's not sure.
And I feel like Chris Jericho kind of validated that whenever we were on the cruise last year and somebody asked him, like, what about getting this person on the cruise? And he was like, well, what is it? He's something like Tony Khan he couldn't decide what he wanted to do, who he wanted to use. Mm-hmm. So I feel like he kind of validated that whenever he was like, Tony Khan didn't know what he wanted to do still.
Which I think how they got such a big roster this year was Collision was pre-taped while the Jericho Cruise was going on.
Of course.
So I think that might be the model moving forward.
Yeah.
For Jericho to get who he wants on the boat. But I think that you've got to let the audience know what they're going to tune in to see. You could show a bunch of dudes doing flips and, you know, flying out of the ring and all that, but if there's no story, like AEW, I think the main mistake that AEW does is I think sometimes AEW tends to do wrestling backwards. It's not typically, I mean, there are people that this is the case, but I would say for the vast majority, especially if you're wanting to appeal to a wider audience, the stories have to come first and the wrestling comes second.
Yeah.
It has to be that way. And I know there's a lot of people that are like, wrestling's wrestling. I don't care about the story.
I do.
The story gives the match stakes. Will Ospreay, since he's gotten to AEW, has had 5-star match after 5-star match after 5-star match. I don't remember most of what happened in most of those matches. I know they were good. I know Will Ospreay wowed me at the time, but I don't know exactly what happened. I can recite for you, it's been almost a year, I can recite to you exactly what happened in the last moments of Cody Roman 2 at WrestleMania last year. Because the way the story
that's just a you thing. Not everybody has your memory. I don't remember jack shit from yesterday.
No, but listen, but when I start pulling the pieces, you know, you had, you know, the Bloodline stuff going on. You had the Usos fighting each other off. You had Rollins coming in and sacrificing himself for Cody.
I remember that.
You remember The Undertaker coming in and getting rid of The Rock, and everybody saying it should have been Austin, and everybody saying. Now. And then I heard one, and it's funny because a lot of people said it should have been Austin, and I was the one that said The Undertaker was fine, but I agreed. But I disagreed with Austin as soon as somebody told me that if it was Austin, Austin would have had to stick around and have beers with Cody, and it would have taken away from Cody's moment. That is the one argument that I've heard that I'm like, okay, yeah, it probably shouldn't have been Austin.
I don't think that would have been taken away from Cody's moment. For Cody, he would have loved life.
He would have, but that was about Cody finishing his story by beating Roman and taking the title his dad never got. It wasn't about getting the title and having beers with Stone Cold.
I guess. I think that's a dumb point, but I don't agree with that point
well,
at all.
Anyway, that was a year ago. We're not talking about that now. What I'm talking about, though, is I remember that stuff. I remember Cody's journey to the top. I remember the feud with Lesnar and the mutual respect. By the way, I think if Lesnar hadn't have gotten caught up in the Vince stuff, Lesnar might have been the one to take out The Rock. But anyway, I think that's what they were building to, and they didn't get to do it.
I don't think he got caught up. He was involved.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Like, all that stuff dropped, and Lesnar was involved and had to be away. I think that's what they were building to. I don't know. We'll probably never know. But I remember all of that. And it's not just because I'm a Cody guy. I remember Chad Gable's journey to try to beat Gunther and the peaks and valleys and how, you know, he started his madness, his descent into dickness because his daughter cried because he couldn't beat Gunther. I remember these story beats. I mean, granted, they're wrestlers that I like, but I like Will Ospreay, but I don't remember what he did to get where he's at.
I know it's the reason Kyle Fletcher's head shaved.
Yeah.
That's all I remember.
Yeah. But there you go. You remember a story beat. That wasn't in a match. That was a story beat.
Yeah.
And I think that's AEW's main issue. We've got to tell good stories. They're trying with this Moxley taking over AEW stuff. But the problem is Moxley could have done this any time because that dude never loses.
Yeah.
And it's honestly, it's very tired how he's doing it. I've said this to you before. Every Moxley match, the Blackpool Combat Club, or no, the Death Riders, as they're called now. The Death Riders interfere. I think the story holds so much more weight if Moxley doesn't even need them. He just has them around because he wants them to be around.
Yeah.
They don't need to play a factor. He just beats everybody. Like, I don't... Because he did that before.
Moxley loses me with his long promos anyway, so
He is kind of a long-winded dude.
And I just can't focus that long. And the fact that he's pacing, it distracts me. So, like, I don't get anything from his promos. I know that he's passionate about what he says, but that's all I get out of it.
And I think that's an issue. MJF, I don't know... Is MJF feuding with Jeff Jarrett? Is he feuding with Hangman? Now he's pissed off Dustin Rhodes? Like, what's MJF's story? He's your highest paid dude. He's the dude that you got literally in a bidding war with WWE to keep. The WWE was ready to take him and put him at WrestleMania, and you paid all this money to keep him. And I don't know if he's feuding with Jeff Jarrett, Dustin Rhodes, or Hangman. Like, come on.
They're all good feud options.
They are, but the problem is did you pay all that money? And this is no disrespect to these guys, because I've enjoyed both the work they've done in AEW. But did you really pay all that money for MJF to feud with Jeff Jarrett and Dustin Rhodes, two men in their 50s that are looking at the end of their careers? Unless you're doing a retirement angle, I don't know that MJF's your guy for this.
I don't.
I'm more interested, I get most interested in MJF when he crosses paths with Hangman.
Yeah, but I don't like that comparison because, like, the age thing, because you have old as fuck wrestlers in WWE.
It's not necessarily an age thing. He's talking about chasing the world title, and you have him pissing off Jeff Jarrett and Dustin Rhodes, who aren't anywhere near the title. Jeff Jarrett got a sniff until he lost to Claudio.
Yeah.
Like, is MJF going for a title? Is he feuding with Hangman? Is he feuding with these two dudes over here? Like, what's going on? He's your highest paid dude, and I don't know what he's doing week to week.
Yeah.
Is he going to feud with somebody else next week? Like, I don't know. And he beat Adam Cole, and nothing really came of it. That was a story that was built forever. And I mean, granted, Adam Cole's injury probably depleted a lot of the enthusiasm for it, but you still could have done something with it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. To me, I think we need better stories. We've got to start with the stories.
I agree.
We have random challengers for things. Like Okada's facing Buddy Matthews because Buddy Matthews went backstage and called him a bitch, which was hilarious because Okada was like, I'm not a bitch, you're a bitch, which is funny coming from Okada, but there's no story there. Buddy Matthews challenged him because Australia is next Saturday. That is the only reason that happened. We don't have any story going into it. Harley Cameron with Mercedes Moné has more story than that.
Standing outside our locker with a puppet.
Yeah, there's more story there. So I think...
And they're continuing their feud online, on social media, too.
And I think Tony Khan, what he's having trouble realizing is, yes, you can put together a dream match. You could do that at any time you want. But when you add stakes to that dream match... I mean, think about it. Take Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. Part 1. The story a lot of people thought was wishy-washy. It was Cody saying, come on, Kevin, you deserve this. You deserve to have this shot. And they had their first match, and it was pretty alright, because it's Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens. There probably wasn't going to be a bad match there to be found. Fast forward to the Royal Rumble, look at the story going into the ladder match, how much weight was added to the way that they threw each other into the ladders and the way that Cody went insane and killed Kevin Owens with an Alabama slammer. And you had Sami Zayn out there conflicted between his two buddies. That added so much weight to that match. And that's what AEW's missing. Their matches don't have stakes. Yeah. It's just, this guy's really good, this guy's really good, let's put them together. Swerve and Ricochet, you're doing that one correctly. Yes. You've built a story, you've built something for them to do, you've built a rivalry up. Swerve and Ricochet, that's the path you need to take. Stuff like that. But Okada and Buddy Matthews, forget it. I like Buddy Matthews. I like Okada. The match will be good. But imagine if it had stakes. Yeah. Imagine it had stakes. Imagine if, like, Okada, I don't know, made a pass at Rhea Ripley or something. Any kind of stakes in this match would make it better. Yeah. The Moxley stuff, like, they're trying to put stakes with that, but you're not... We're telling the same story, we're just switching out the main character of who's pissed at Moxley. We subbed out Orange Cassidy for Jay White or Adam Copeland, depending on what day of the week it is. I think if it's Collision, it's Copeland. If it's Dynamite, it's Jay White. I don't know. But we're literally, it's the same story that we told with Orange. We're just switching out Orange for somebody else. And you've got to advance it. And honestly, I think this is where Darby Allin being gone is hurting AEW, because Darby Allin was the main catalyst driving that story forward. Darby Allin's the one that keeps adding stakes. Darby Allin took his car and rammed into their truck. Darby Allin is killing himself trying to add stakes to this feud. Which is why I think Darby should triumph in the end. I would have Darby be the one to beat Moxley. And I would do it with Sting standing in the rafters and Danielson standing on the ramp. That's exactly how I would do it. Right there. And because there's stakes there. If you put Sting in the rafters, Sting has said, I would watch Darby win a title. I think Sting in the rafters, watching Darby win, is Cody's moment on everybody's shoulders at the end of Mania 40. Mm-hmm. If we get stakes, the people will come back. If there is something to gain from watching, if there's an intriguing story, people will come back. A lot of people cite that CM Punk, when he left, when he got fired, let's correct that, when he got fired,
yeah,
the numbers went with him. What's CM Punk done since he's gotten to WWE? He's told stories. What did he do when he was in AEW? The Real World's Championship didn't really make sense. But he told a story, and he brought Ricky Starks along with him. And Ricky Starks got really over. He was already over. And Punk helped him get over more. And then as soon as Punk left, Ricky Starks had a great strap match with Bryan Danielson, tag team with Big Bill for a little bit, and now he's gone.
Yeah.
Like, you squandered this person that you had that could have helped fill that Punk void. He's good enough on the mic that he could have filled the Punk void. It wouldn't have been Punk. Calm down, Internet. I'm not saying that Ricky Starks is Punk, but Ricky Starks had the talent on the mic skills to at least not see such a drop-off from when Punk left, or Punk got fired. So I think that's AEW's main problem. I think their marketing, they need to tell people to see the commercials what the hell's going on, which means you need to know what the hell's going on.
Yes.
Step 2, give weight to your stories. Yeah. Give them weight. Problem number 3, this is the last problem I'm going to go into, and I think this is a big one, and I think AEW sees it as a strength, and I kind of see it as a weakness. In AEW, you never know who's going to show up because the roster is so massive, and they pull from so many places. You never know if you're going to get New Japan guys on your show. You never know if you're going to get Ring of Honor people on your show. Which sounds cool in theory until you realize the show's only 2 hours, and if those dudes are coming on, you might not get MJF. You might not get Hangman. You might not get Moxley. You might not get these people that people are coming to see.
This is a point that we are going to agree to disagree on, because I think that they could do it better, but I don't want them to stop that. I get excited when I get to learn about a new wrestler. I get excited when I see somebody that I've heard about only on, like, I don't know, random things. I get to see them. I like that. Now, they don't have to do it as often. They don't have to take over as much of the show. But I like when they have random people come in. I hate to compare, but I'm going to. I think WWE with TNA and NXT is doing it correctly. Okay, then do it like them. But
because
don't do it as much.
It's not happening all the time, and usually when it happens, it's one person at a time.
Yeah.
They tell their story, and then they're gone. It's not just random. They're there for a purpose. They serve their purpose, and then they're gone again.
Yeah. I'm okay to do it like that.
But you have enough time. You have that 3 or 4 weeks that they're there to tell that story. You could determine if you want to go with them to TNA and see what else they do.
Yeah.
It's a great way to showcase it.
Yeah.
Like they did with Joe Hendry with Ethan Page. Joe Hendry came in, he feuded with Ethan Page, and he was gone. And people in NXT were still posting about Joe Hendry weeks later.
Ariana Grace has been hanging out on TNA forever as Miss NXT.
Yeah.
I think her dad's there, though.
Look at Jordan Grace. Jordan Grace came
Jade
in.
went to TNA. And
Jordan Grace came to NXT to feud with Roxanne. She had her feud, and she lost. And then when she came back, look how excited everybody got.
Yeah.
Because, like, oh my God, I know her. She came here. She told a story. I liked her story. She's back.
Yeah.
I think the TNA NXT model is the model that you should use moving forward. I think AEW does it too randomly, and it's too many one-offs. Like, for example, Tomohiro Ishii is a great example of this. The Stone Pitbull guy.
I know.
When he shows up, he either shows up and he just kind of hangs out with Mark Briscoe, and he's just kind of there. Or he shows up, they put him in a marquee match that God knows how he even got qualified for in the first place, and then he loses that match, and then he's gone again.
Yeah.
Like, you have talent on your roster. Like, why are you putting Tomohiro Ishii in a Ring of Honor World title match with Chris Jericho if he hasn't even been on your show in the last 4 months? Pick somebody that's been on the show. Somebody that the fans have gotten behind, like a Danny Garcia or somebody like that. Yeah. You know, that's who really, when AEW pulls this stuff, that's really who ends up paying for it. Like the Danny Garcias and the people, like Ricky Starks, like people like that the crowd gets behind. Danhausen. The crowd gets behind them, but they're not rewarded for being behind them. Yeah. AEW doesn't do the big payoffs well. Like WWE does. Like when Cody won against Roman last year, that building was shaking. A football stadium was shaking.
Well, I mean, if there were anybody like me, it was like about damn time.
For a lot of people, it was. But I mean, like, and that's what adding stakes does. Think back to Mania 39 when Cody lost. It felt like the air left that whole building. It felt like the air left our house. Like,
well, I was just mad because Roman won and he doesn't work.
But you cared.
Yeah.
And AEW right now has a real problem with getting you to care.
Yeah.
And I think that is the main issue with AEW. They are struggling to get people to care. And it's really sad because there's a lot of talent and a lot of good people on there to care about. Mm-hmm. And I want to see, a lot of people are hoping for AEW's demise. I want AEW to bounce back. I want AEW to get back to the viewership that they were.
If they go away, what's going to keep WWE thriving still?
AEW's existence is good for wrestlers and wrestling fans.
Yes.
Its existence is
want that competition.
So important.
Yes.
AEW cannot fail. You can choose not to like it. You can choose not to watch it. That's fine. But AEW has to absolutely succeed to help the wrestling business as a whole. Honestly,
probably the people that don't want it to succeed, they probably don't understand that like competition is good. They probably don't understand that like cause and demand type thing. Like they probably don't understand that kind of stuff.
Plus,
they probably only understand. They're probably selfish.
Look at all these people that AEW has that are really, really great in both divisions. WWE's only got so much airtime, and they're not even using their full roster. There would be nowhere for these people to go. AEW has to exist so they can be on TV too.
Yeah.
So these people that want AEW to die, you don't love wrestling. Like, wrestling is AEW is so good for it, and the best thing for wrestling is for AEW to get better and to improve and to get back to where it was. And I know I said that AEW has a problem getting us to care, but I care about the company as a whole and want to see them succeed. AEW has brought me a lot of good things. It's brought us a couple really great vacations. It brought us out of a dark time. We want AEW to succeed. I don't tear down AEW because I hate it. I tear it down because I want to see it do better. I feel like a parent scolding a child who's failing a class that I know can do better.
I feel like you're on your soapbox right now.
I do. And I think AEW has the tools to get better. And I think, by all accounts, except for Ray Phoenix, Tony Khan seems to be a nice guy. Take the booking pen from him and give it to somebody that can tell stories. Yeah. Go find your Shawn Michaels and your Triple H. Go find them. Maybe it's the guy that TNA fired when TNA was doing really well, and then they fired this guy to redo their image. Maybe you go find him. I think Scott D'Amore was his name or something. But give the booking pen to someone else, someone that understands how to tell stories, and don't make it a wrestler that works in the company. Yeah. You need to bring in somebody else as an outside hire with the booking pen and let them put these incredibly talented people in engaging stories, and the fans will come back. Yeah. WWE got better numbers because the stories got better. Yeah. The booker's pen changed hands. There was a sign of hope, and it's been smooth sailing ever since for WWE. Yeah. So I think those are the major points that AEW needs to do to fix what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Will they do it? History shows probably not. They're probably just going to put their fingers in their ear and say, this is for the sickos. Well, there's only so many sickos on the planet.
Yeah.
And you're doing a disservice to your talent by not being able to adapt and make things better.
Yeah.
That's why you're losing Ricky Starks, Malachi Black, Miro, all these people to WWE, because WWE is telling them, hey, we'll tell some interesting stories with you, and we're going to give you a shit ton of money, and you're going to be on TV frequently.
Yeah.
And you'll know when you're going to be on TV.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to do it for our episode this week. So let us know if you like the more opinion side of things rather than the recap. I know there's plenty of recap on the internet right now, so we're just trying to do something a little bit different. Give us a comment. Let us know your thoughts on the subjects that we talked about, or give us some ideas for our next video of stuff you'd like us to tackle. But don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. It helps the channel. Make sure when you subscribe, you click the little bell so you're actually being notified. I know with me, I'm subscribed to our channel on my personal YouTube, and I don't get the notification for like 2 days that we've posted a video. So make sure you're hitting that bell so you can figure out when the video is being posted. And we will be taking next week off because we're taking a Valentine's weekend. So we will be back the weekend after that, where we'll have some new topics for you and kind of gear up for Revolution for AEW and WrestleMania for WWE.
Later.